Hey, hold on. I'm going to put you on speakerphone.
See, this is the beauty of the strategy room. This guy just emailed in. What's his name?
Michael Fitzpatrick.
Michael Fitzpatrick emails in. He's got an opinion, and Mike Straka gets him on the air.
Hey, Mike, let us know. Michael said, we were talking earlier, Michael emailed us, said that IP spoofing is something known as leapfrogging. Explain that, would you, Mike?
Well, actually, the technique that was being discussed, moving from one network to
Hey, Michael,
another.
Michael, you got to take us off speakerphone. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Actually, I had you on my Bluetooth. Actually, the technique that you were talking about as far as moving from one network to another or one computer to another is called leapfrogging. And simply put, if I, and the firm that I have, we do information security. This is something that we audit banks and find out where they're vulnerable. And so some of the questions I was asking, what audits have they conducted? What testing do they do? What measures do they have in place to prevent this? But getting back to the question of leapfrogging is, simply put, moving from one computer to another, one asset to another. And you can move from one network to another network. So your question about the Treasury to the Pentagon, depending upon what firewalls are in place, what security is in place, how those networks are connected, they may very well have been able to move.
This is a great question. So, in other words, if you infiltrate the Treasury, you can also get into the Pentagon.
Let's
possibly.
also be clear, we're not talking about the U.S. Treasury. We're talking about the World Bank Treasury.
Go ahead. So,
But Michael, let me ask you this question. If there was spyware installed that was opening up the servers, correct?
Yes, spyware that was, there were two types that were put on. One was called, you probably know this, an SQL injection?
SQL.
Yeah,
that's
injection, yeah.
Injection. Yeah, that was put on systems in June and July, actually, at the World Bank. But the Treasury system software that was put on was a keystroke logging system, where anybody at the workstations, whatever they typed, was being sent out of the building.
Yeah, key logging software is something that we use from time to time in the investigations that we conduct. You can actually, depending upon the software and the application, you can capture chats, you can capture emails, you can capture every stroke that is going on with that computer and have that information emailed out to another location. So,
how do you get it on the computer?
You stealthily download it.
How do you get it on the computer?
In other words, if you want to see what I'm sending to people, how do you get that software onto my computer so that you can see that?
The analogy that I use with CEOs every day when I talk to them is very simple. If I'm going to hack your environment, it doesn't take a talent pool to be able to do it. I can come in as part of the cleaning crew and then take that key logging piece of software or a device and attach it to the computer, install it or plug it in to where your keyboard plugs into the back of the keyboard. I can then, from that, capture the data, either coming back as a member of the cleaning crew or having that information sent out via email, usually undisclosed.
Hey, Michael, how do you hide that? Like, if I suspect that my computer has key logging software installed, but it's running hidden, how do I find it on my hard drive?
Well, there are some tools out there that can find it. Sometimes antivirus software will find it. Sometimes adware software can find it. But some of the better tools can run completely undetected.
Wow.
And obviously there have to be sophisticated programs on the other end sorting this stuff, instead of a poor guy in a room at 3 in the morning trying to make sense of all these keystrokes. There must be some pretty good programs.
So let's talk about the. Let me ask you, Michael.
Yeah.
The security risk of the Pentagon or the Treasury Department, the U.S. Treasury and the U.S. Pentagon.
Well, I have a simple rule, and that is if man made it, man can break it.
That's
and
good. Yeah.
So from that standpoint, any system that's created is vulnerable if they're not tested, if they're not patched, if somebody isn't watching them. And that's the reality of what we live with today. So how vulnerable the Pentagon might be or some of the other networks are, it is really unknown. I'm sure they're doing everything that they possibly can do to make sure that that data is secure. We do a lot of work with the FBI, and we've done a lot of seminars in conjunction with the FBI. The reality is the professional hackers that are out there, they don't stop. A lot of times the cybercrime unit experts with the FBI will find the hackers, and there may be a stack of pizza boxes off in the corner and a barrel of kitty litter. They haven't left. They're there for days and days and days at a time.
All right, a lot of emails are coming saying, hey, guys, how about not broadcasting the way to hack into the Pentagon? Richard, talk to us about, it really doesn't matter if we're talking about, there are people out here who are just solely dedicating their life to hacking into things.
A few years ago for Fortune magazine, I got together with some ex-Army experts in this. We got a Fortune 500 company to agree to let us try to hack in, as long as we didn't use their name. They hired an expert at PricewaterhouseCoopers to watch them. They didn't tell their IT department. And I holed up with these ex-Air Force guys in San Antonio for 3 days. I was shocked. They got into
3 days.
They got into so much. And one of them yelled out, "I've got root."
Yeah.
And once you've got root, you're in. Everything's yours. You own it.
You can do whatever you want
And,
once you have root.
and everybody
3 days.
cheered.
If you have the root password, you're a super user. Right, Michael?
And I
That
started.
is absolutely correct.
I started seeing, finance systems show up on the screen of this company. It was chilling. I also played a trick, which I'd like to share with you. I said to them, could you actually send an email to the editor of Fortune magazine from the number 2 guy telling him I deserve a $5,000 bonus for this piece? And we can do it. And they did it. And the managing editor.
You got a $5,000 bonus?
No, the
Well,
managing editor. It was so
earned
easy. The managing editor
Under his email.
John Huey of Fortune got an email from Rick Kirkland, the number 2, saying Behar's been working so hard out in San Antonio. Let's throw him a $5,000 bonus.
That's great.
And Huey emailed back saying, "Fine."
We need that at
Here's the
Fox.
problem. Kirkland got a message saying "fine" and didn't know why.
So he,
So
called
he
him
went
up.
in, and they figured it out. And I got an email saying from John Huey, "Let's give Behar a $5 bonus. Don't spend it all in one place, Buster." But it proved the point.
Michael, explain.
I never got the $5,000.
Explain first of all. Explain how a hacker could actually get root on the server.
It really depends, and I assume that it's Mike. This is Mike Straka.
Yeah.
Mike, it really depends on what vulnerabilities might be there, what their angle of attack is. In other words, it could be spyware that is received by somebody. And once I have root on a computer, if it's attached to a network, I can then set up controls and take control of that network from that computer. So it really depends upon the vulnerability, the type of exploit, the types of tools.
Hey, Michael, is there any operating system? I mean, you talk about server irons. You talk about the firewalls that are out there.
Right.
Is there any operating? I mean, are hacks really dependent on the operating system? I mean, is it easier to hack a Linux-based or a Unix-based box than it is to hack a Windows-based box?
Well, now my firm, Mike, NCX Group, we do probably 200 to 300 plus audits a year, banks, financial institutions, and et cetera. Windows is the predominant target. That's the predominant
How about Apple?
operating system out there.
They don't make sense.
And
they don't make
that's
sense.
the big target. And that's where most of the exploits actually
Max are safer.
reside. Now, if it's a web application, there are exploits for that. If it's a Windows operating system, there are exploits for that. If it's Linux, there's exploits for that. For a Macintosh, there's exploits for that. As I said, if man made it, man can break it.
Right.
What's your company? Do you have a website?
Yeah, I do have a website, ncxgroup.com, and we are an
So it's N as in Nancy, C as in Charlie, X as in X-ray.
Correct.
NCXgroup.com. Thanks.
And we are are an information risk management firm, and our specialty is exactly what you're talking about.
All right. Was Michael
Fitzpatrick. Thanks very much, man. NCX. We got it up on the screen.
Oh, there you go. NCXGroup.com. Thanks a lot, bud.
Hey, thanks a lot, and if I can be of help anytime, call.
Just keep shooting us an email if you got.
Thanks, bro.
Strategyroom@foxnews.com.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
Hey, guys, thank you.
Good job. Keep